So it turns out we don't have infinite energy, nor have infinite time. If we did, we could say yes to every opportunity that came our way that sounded even remotely interesting. But alas, this is not how it goes. Now, some of life is compulsory. We just gotta do it. But beyond that, life offers up opportunities, and it's up to us to decide whether or not to say yes to them. For those of us who are business owners, solopreneurs, freelancers, opportunities come up all the time. An inquiry from a client, an offer to partner, a request to speak, or maybe you're someone who volunteers for an organization or gets asked to pitch in at your school or church or neighborhood organization. Or maybe you feel called to participate in a cause or movement, but we can't say yes to it all. Saying yes and attempting to do it all, it's not only a bad 80s cliche, but it also leads to being scattered, ineffective, overworked, and burned out. So how do we decide? Let's back up a bit and start with my favorite place, awareness. First step is in recognizing that there's a choice to be made. You might automatically jump to yes without giving it a second thought. And in order to make a choice, you actually need to notice that you have the opportunity to choose. Greg McKeown, author of the books Essentialism and Effortless, reminds us that when we forget our ability to choose, we allow our power to be taken away. You may just be so used to saying yes or just assuming that you have to say yes that you just say yes, or perhaps just don't say no. So maybe try slowing down so you can get that awareness that indeed you have a choice available to you. Side note, this is yet another example of where meditation can be a wonderful productivity tool. With meditation, you practice being in slow mode. You learn what that awareness of a choice feels like. It becomes more second nature to you, and it becomes easier to apply the idea that you have a choice. And don't forget that while many opportunities come from external places, a job offer, a request from a potential client, an ask to join a committee, an idea you have can also be an opportunity. But just because you had the idea doesn't mean you have to say yes to it. It could just be an idea. Maybe an idea that deserves a yes, maybe an idea that deserves additional consideration that maybe leads to other ideas like in brainstorming, or maybe it's just an idea. So whether the opportunity is external or internal, take a pause, notice when you have a choice, and then you can fully consider and decide. Next, let's take a moment to consider some of the maybe siren songs that will pull you to yes when maybe yes isn't the right choice. First off, comparing yourself to others. You may think that you need to do something based off of someone else's measure of success rather than your own benchmarks. Next up, living in the soup. You might be drowning in a culture that tells you how to be and what to do to the point of it being second nature. But you don't have to do something just because everybody is doing it or because you think you're just somehow naturally expected to do it. Next up, ego boost. This is my classic draw. I say yes to things that make me look like an expert or give me some sort of recognition or fame. Not the worst thing, but if it's your only driver, you're probably not going to enjoy the activity and it might end up losing steam and maybe even stressing you out. Another siren song? FOMO. We all want to belong and we all want to get the most out of life, so the fear of missing out is real. But as we have said before, you just can't do it all. So yeah, you're gonna have to miss out on some things sometimes. Next up, obligation and guilt. I suspect this one is pretty common. We say yes to things out of obligation. We feel guilty for saying no. But I think you can be discerning here. First of all, there are degrees of yes. Let's say you want to take care of a loved one who's sick. Do you have to be by their bedside 24/7 and not get help or support from anyone else? Or let's say you want to be politically active. Does that mean you have to show up at every single protest? And second, on this issue of obligation and guilt, we sometimes forget that there are others out there who want to say yes or who are more available and able to say yes to the same opportunity that isn't like a strong, hard yes for you. Let's say you dread showing up at the school bake sale with 5 dozen homemade brownies, but for someone else down the street, that is their fun zone. For them, it is a yes, yes, yes. So you can just let them have this one. Next up, forgetting that saying yes means saying no to something else. Because we have that pesky matter of infinite time and energy, we simply can't do it all. We can lose sight of what's important to us in favor of what's right in front of us. And last, but certainly not least, low self-esteem. You may carry a belief that you aren't capable or worthy of the thing that you really want to say yes to. So you say yes to stuff that isn't quite right because you think that's all you can get. It may be especially hard to say no to something when you don't have an obvious alternative in front of you. Something is better than nothing, you think? Yes, I feel you. Turning down that lousy client who's maybe not as kind to your staff as you'd want, or who wants it done yesterday, or who just isn't in your area of expertise, that may be painful when you need the dough. We don't all have the privilege of being able to say yes to our dream opportunities every time. You might need to make some yeses to maybes along the way, but it is a worthy direction we can head in. When you say yes to that wrong opportunity, you are saying yes to being dragged into the drudgery. And you're saying no to anything better that you could be doing with your time. On the flip, when you say yes to the right opportunity, you're setting yourself up for success. You'll get the most bang for your opportunity buck if you're doing the things that you're most aligned with your skills, your values, and your objectives. In the work arena, this may mean less work for the same pay, and in other areas of your life, it may mean more satisfaction or meaning. So, how do we get to the right yeses? The secret sauce is in setting up criteria for when to say yes. With preset criteria, we can be more objective when the heat of the moment is upon us. Before you jump to yes, you can pause and work through your criteria list. At some point, you may work it so often that it can be second nature. You hear your request and just, nah. But in fact, you probably want to revisit your criteria list every 6 months or so. Your life and your business will evolve, and your criteria will likely morph along with it. Before we get into that list, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more videos like this one, and while you're there, you can give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. So after reading a whole bunch and reflecting on my own, I've come up with a list of questions you might use to filter out opportunities. You don't have to use every one of these, but I suspect at least 2 or 3 of them will be useful to you. So coming in at number 1, Marie Kondo. Does it bring you joy? Do you love it? Or as my dear friend Melanie says, does it make me smile? Gay Hendricks sits at number 2. Is this opportunity in your zone of genius? In short, you have zones of incompetence, competence, excellence, and genius. In genius, you probably have mixed 2 or more zones of excellence, or you might find your zone of genius when your innate talents, learned skills, and energy, excitement, and interest come together. It's work that doesn't feel like work. In Free to Focus, Michael Hyatt calls it the desire zone, where your passion and proficiency intersect. We can go into more of this concept in another video, but basically, if you're outside of your zone of genius, the thinking goes, you're not getting the most bang for your buck. In your zone of genius, you are thriving. You are making change happen. You are contributing the most. It's the most effortless and relaxed place of doing. According to Hyatt, it's where you can unleash your unique gifts and abilities to make your most significant contribution to your business, family, community, and maybe the world. So to recap, number 2 is this opportunity in my zone of genius? Number 3, does it make you money? You may have set rates for freelance work or profitability requirements to take on a job, or maybe more generally you can ask, does this opportunity make financial sense for me? Is this, if it is a volunteer opportunity, maybe it costs you time or actual money, and you have to weigh this against your financial needs. Number 4, does this align with my values or who I want to be in the world? Again, I quote from my friend Melanie, would it make me proud to do this? Number 5, does this opportunity serve the theme for life that I'm playing with right now? I'll link to my recent theme video in the description box below so you can know what I'm talking about. But in short, there may be a direction you're headed in that you've kind of labeled. An example would be growth, or do less, or foundation, or maybe another way to say it, does this opportunity jive with the season of life I'm in right now? And number 6, if you just want one question for all, it's this. If it isn't a hell yes, it's a hell no. So how do you decide which criteria you will use? consider writing your own mission statement. From The Gap and the Gain, author Benjamin Hardy suggests you spend 20 to 30 minutes writing down your answer to this question: I know I'm being successful when... I riffed on that and I came up with a few more prompts that you might try, such as I'm in the zone when, my easiest jobs are, my green flags are, or, just think through the list I gave you ahead. What is fun? What is in my zone of genius? What money do I need to make? How do I know when I'm in integrity and aligned with my values? Where is my business, my life, my hobby, my family headed in this season of life? Alternatively, or maybe like as an add-on, you might create a no list to help you. For instance, in one of the books that I read, and I'm so sorry, I cannot find the citation, I don't know where it is, but I read recently about a company that doesn't hire any installation technicians who throw their tools in the box at the end of a test job instead of putting them away with care and attention. That may seem silly to you, but for this company, it was a proxy for the kind of people they wanted to work with. The opportunity, and for the company's point of view, is to hire this person. And they put this person through the filters that they have established, and boom, it's a no because the potential hire didn't show enough care. Now, there are 1,000,001 mindset coaches and business coaches out there that have all read Good to Great and Essentialism and The Big Leap and Free to Focus and The One Thing and pretty much every other self-help business book out there, and they all essentially say the same thing. Taking the risk of saying no to an opportunity means you're leaving room for that hell yes opportunity when it arrives. And because we always love a big transformation story, these books always have some story of some flailing business with low morale that implemented their technique of how to focus down on the best opportunities and made an amazing transformation to a shiny, successful business where everybody's happy and making tons of money. But the reality is, your transformation may be less stark than that. There may be times when you have to say yes to the less than perfect client. Like when you're just getting started, when the economy is lousy, when you need extra cash for an emergency. Or you may not have the skills to serve your dream clients yet, so you need to work with others first. Or take me for an example. Sometimes I even purposely go backwards. I accept clients outside of my niche because sometimes I actually just want an easy job. But even without that shiny big transformation, I still believe in the power of saying yes to the right opportunities and empowering yourself by making that criteria list. In the end, it turns out that we don't have crystal balls that tell us exactly which projects or opportunities will be the best to take on. We have to do our best to make decisions using the knowledge we've gained from the past experiences and our best guesses for the future. So be sure to cut yourself some slack as you make decisions. Even using the filters you've established, you may not get it right every single time. But with those criteria that you've established, you've given yourself a fighting chance. Here's to more time doing things you enjoy, more time in your zone of genius, more time centered in your values, and more time supporting the vision you have for your life, more time saying hell yes. Would you share with us? I would love to hear your approach about setting your yes criteria. Let us know in the comments below. How do you know when to say yes and what to say yes to? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.